Okay, good evening, everybody, and we're back with yet another Skype recorded meeting for the West Midlands Herp Society. Now, we're still struggling with getting back into our normal venue. Obviously, as soon as restrictions release enough, we will be back there, and we'll keep everybody updated as to when we can actually get back and get people physically in the room and listening to the speakers and actually asking them the questions in person. As it goes, any questions that you have about any of the talks, put them in the comments on the videos, and the speakers or ourselves, if we can help you, will answer them. Now, this evening's talk, we've got a young man by the name of Nathan Rusley joining us. Now, Nathan is renowned for his work in Indonesia at the Sicilian Herpetarium, and he's also just released a book, the Photographic Guide to the Snakes of Java. Anybody who's interested in that book, which I'm sure Nathan will probably give a few more details of in his talk, needs to contact Ben Owens, who did a talk for us last year. As a few of you will probably remember Ben's talk. He's distributing them in the UK for Nathan. On that note, Nathan's doing a talk tonight on conservation and herpetofauna in Indonesia. I shall now pass you over to Nathan to give you that presentation. Thank you very much for joining us, Nathan.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Not as yet, I can't, no. Becky, is that coming up for you? Oh, there we go.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Okay, I'll mute my microphone and camera off now.
Right. Hello, everyone. My name's Nathan. I'm going to be talking about the amphibian reptile conservation in Indonesia. So a little bit about a short introduction. I run the Indonesia Herpetofauna Foundation. We're an NGO that focuses on the conservation of amphibians and reptiles in Indonesia. Yeah, and I'll be giving an overview of, the herpetofauna conservation issues and what we're trying to do on the ground. Okay. I'm not sure how this works, but right, there we go. That's Indonesia. It's an island. It's an archipelago. So it's not an island. It's a country with a lot of islands. Sorry. And so we've got thousands of islands. Sometimes they come and go, so the number constantly changes. But what I quite like about Indonesia is that we are separated into 3 different bioregions in one country. So we've got the Wallace line. That green line, that's the Wallace line. And the red line is the Ledecker's line. It's not exactly where the lines are, but yeah, more or less, Indonesia is divided into 3 parts. So the one on the left, that's the Sundaland bioregion, comprising of Java, Sumatra, Borneo, and all the surrounding islands. All your fauna are going to be quite similar to the Southeast Asian species. Whereas on the very right, you've got the Australasia bioregion. You've got Papua New Guinea, Indonesian Papua, that is. And in the middle there, between the red and the green lines, is the Wallacea bioregion. And that's a very unique area because it's got a lot of endemic species. It's been separated from the mainland, from Southeast Asia and from Australia for a long, long time. So everything there is just evolved to sort of into something different. So that covers Sulawesi and Flores, the Lesser Sundas, Komodo, and I'll just give you a few examples here. This is a Sicilian Ichthyosis Hyperchinese. It's a Sicilian that is native to, and I'm pretty sure it's endemic to Java as well. So this is something from Sunderland. This also is a frog endemic to Java, pearly tree frog. They're quite interesting creatures. They live in little holes, and they lay their eggs in little puddles of water in the holes in trees, tree hollows. And they only live in the highlands, elevations of above 600 to 1,000 meters above sea level. So these are quite challenging to find. In the Wallacea Bioregion, I'm sure everyone knows what this is. The largest lizard in the world, Komodo dragon, endemic to several few islands off the coast of Flores in the Lesser Sundas. And here we have Tropidolaemus laticintus, a species of viper that's endemic to Sulawesi. I really want to see one. I've not seen one in real life yet. And if we move to the Australasian bioregion, you've got the Papuan white snake. People are really afraid of this, and for good reason. These are highly venomous, and I would like to see a live one at some point too, because they're really nicely coloured. And of course, in the highlands of Papua, you've got the Boland's python, beautiful snake. Okay, as we all know, snakes are very important. Well, both amphibians and reptiles are very important to the environment. They play a key role in the ecosystem. And, there's a lot of threatened species all around the world. And in Indonesia, we've got quite a few that are in dire threat. So this is one example of something that's critically endangered, the bleeding toad, which is endemic to West Java, only a few mountain ranges. So if those mountain ranges get polluted or whatever, these things are just going to die. They're going to just disappear. So it's quite fragile. We're at risk of losing so many things, and we're at risk of losing things before they've even been discovered, because there's a lot of things that haven't even been described yet. Just last year, I found I'm not sure I'm allowed to say, but I found a reptile on the island of Rusley in the Lesser Sundas. It turned out to be a new species, and we're describing it now. So that paper should be out shortly. Right, now we're talking about the threats. One of the threats towards amphibians and reptiles in Indonesia is the trade for the medicine industry. So a lot of snakes, lizards are collected from the wild for the superstitious medicine trade. So that's the bile and the blood of snakes are used in traditional medicine. Meat as well, and the snakes, they're sold in the pet markets such as these, and you can see they've got some civets, they've got some owls as well, and a bunch of random snakes in little boxes. Right, frogs, sold, turtles, they're sold online as well. What you see over there is the Bornean painted terrapin, and so those are protected by law in Indonesia, but people still sell them on Facebook. Anyhow, we have on our left some Wallace's flying frogs and some golden tree frogs. And here we've got animals collected for the skin trade as well. Now, wildlife trade is not the only issue. Isn't animals being collected, too many animals being collected from the wild, but also invasive species getting in through the trade. Okay, so here's a fish market in Jakarta, and you've got, you know, animals from Sumatra, you've got animals from Africa, and most of the fish found for sale are exotic fish. And Indonesia being a tropical country, a lot of things can survive in our waterways, and a lot of things have become invasive. So tilapia are a big problem, and guppies and suckermouth catfish. Also, alligator gars are starting to become a thing. So, yeah. In the case of reptiles, we have the red-eared slider. Pain in the arse. But, yeah, because of the Ninja Turtles thing, everyone wants one now. And when they get big, people get bored and chuck them out in the river. And they sort of become competition for our native turtle species. Because they're so, what's the word for it? They're so resilient, and they reproduce really quickly. So, yeah. Okay, and you've got habitat destruction, you've got pollution, habitat loss, and habitat fragmentation. And that kills a lot of things, and it also causes human-wildlife conflict. So, quite like this comic. We use this a lot for education, and we've got it at the Herpetarium as well. So it's got a picture of a snake in a forest, or, you know, rice paddy. Naturalistic habitat, and it gets destroyed, right? Oh, the snake's sad, and they're going to build an apartment there, and someone shows up and goes, wait, since when has, you know, why is there a snake here? But the snake's been there all along. The snake's been there the whole time. And with human-wildlife conflict comes snake bite. So, yeah, that was data from, I think, 2018. I hope I'm right. Okay. Sorry, guys. It was much older data. I need to get, I'm getting the 2019 data in soon. But, yeah. For now, the 2015-16 data should give you an idea, right? Each month, around that time, you had, where's the total number? I can't see. A lot of cases. Yeah. So in West Java alone, you had about 20. And you had, in East Java, you've got about 25. And, yeah, Sulawesi, Borneo, I think they're underreported. And Papua is also very underreported. Because I know there's a lot of cases there now. So here's data from 1 year in just one small town in East Java. And this data was collected by Dr. Tri Maharani. I'm sure some of you will have heard of her. She's renowned for her work on snakebite in Indonesia. So, yeah, this is data from a town, and 148 cases in a year, and that was what was recorded. And there's, you know, numbers keep going up and up. So, yeah, one of the issues is that we have about 70-ish species of medically significant venomous snakes in Indonesia, but we only have one anti-venom available, and that's a polyvalent for the Malayan pit viper, Javan spitting cobra, and the banded crate. So if you're bitten by anything else, you need to hope the doctor knows what they're doing. Also, to make things worse, most doctors don't know what they're doing. So in Indonesia, doctors aren't really given training on how to deal with snakebite. So a lot of them will suggest to cut the site or to apply hot water, to do a tourniquet, or use traditional methods. There was a case, I think, last year, a couple of years ago. There's an 8-year-old girl on Bali, and she got bit by a python and went to hospital, and the doctor gave her this antivenom, and she died because of the antivenom. So that was quite sad. You know, yeah. If the doctor hadn't done anything, she'd be alive. But unfortunately, they had to administer antivenom for non-venomous snakebite. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of weird, magic the magic knife and the magic stone and all these weird traditional methods. Yeah, sucking this bite site with a thingy. These don't work. Right. So I'm going to give you a bit of background. So I've talked about the issues. I'm going to talk about a background of how I got into all this. When I was a kid, I always wanted a snake, but my parents would never let me have a snake unless I got really good grades. I had to get straight A's in school for a year, and then I'd get one non-venomous snake. And I thought, there's a million ways to roam. Like I can do it without doing that, because there's no way. It was not going to happen. I was never going to get good grades. So I somehow saved up enough money to rent a room in the slums. So I was selling rice, I was selling sleeping bags, and I finally saved up enough, and I rented a room. Built some cages and things, and I slowly built up in my teens a collection of snakes. I had about 50, 60 snakes in there. So on the bottom left, that was one of my king cobras, and then on the top left, you've got a row of random snakes. I really missed keeping a lot of snakes, but I didn't keep them very well, as you can see. And I was only like 13, 14, so didn't really know much. Did a lot of stupid things, and yeah, I'm not proud of it. So I used to sell animals to sustain my hobby, and I had a pangolin one day, and it died before I could sell it. And I sat down that day, and I just thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this, because I was collecting a load of scorpions and snakes and owls, and some I collected myself, some I got from hunters and suppliers, and it was just really depressing because I knew most of them were gonna die, and I wanted to do something useful for the environment. I wanted to get into conservation and make a difference, So I decided to talk to my friend Richard. Richard was the local animal catcher in a village in Bogor, West Java. So he, like me, had an interest for snakes, and he was also, keeping and selling snakes at home. And I had a chat with him because he lived right by the Chilawung River. It was a nice village, It had trees and things. It's got a river. It's got snakes. And I told Richard, "Hey, I've got a plan. I've got an idea. I want to start this, educational facility and teach people about snakes. So, because everyone hates snakes, but snakes are wonderful, and just want to share that with people." So that was the initial idea. And Richard's mum was eavesdropping, and she went, you can use our house if you want." And so that happened. Richard's mum's house in a village by the Chilawung River became the Chilawung Herpetarium. And that was it in 2015 when we first started. A bunch of rubs and little aquariums stacked neatly in front. Yeah, animal welfare wasn't up to a very good standard. We've sort of fixed things up now, and no more free handling. You know, we've got locks on the enclosures, and they're not in teeny tiny enclosures. They've got UV now. Yeah, we don't have a crocodile in the living room anymore, and yeah, I quite like this quote because yeah, one of the things we used to do ever since we first started, we did a lot of education, and we went around talking to the public, talking to school children about snakes and how to mitigate snake and human conflict. This was what it looked like in 2016. We had labels for, each of the snake enclosures to show people what species they were. So, yeah, 2015, 16, changed a bit. Still not very good. And I wanted to, I got to the UK, learn about zoos and how zoos work, animal welfare, collection planning. And I thought, okay, let's have less animals, but better educational value. And yes, set up a GoFundMe page, and thankfully, didn't go according to plan, but it did change, right? So we went from 20 tanks to 8, and then from 8 down to 5. Yeah, so that's what it looked like in 2017, and it kind of looks similar now. Yeah, quite like the way it looks. But yeah, so that's the education facility. Every enclosure has an educational value to it. So we don't just put animals on display just for the sake of it, but we think about what story we're trying to tell first. Right. At the centre, we've got a thing called the Cocoon Club. Now the philosophy behind this, well, stopped now due to COVID, but we used to have meetings every Thursday and Sunday. And the philosophy behind this is, the butterflies undergo metamorphosis, and these little caterpillars. When you see a cocoon, if you're not a butterfly expert, you probably don't know what sort of species of butterfly is going to come out of it. So just like the kids, you don't know what they're going to be when they grow up. And we just want to support them and give them the opportunity to sort of dream and, find their passion. Yeah, so it's a sort of an educational program, and we kind of let them do what they like, but also kind of teach them things and show them things about, nature and the environment and animals, and just, let them learn and have a good time as well. So that's the Cocoon Club. Yeah, this is one of the kids, Dafa, who drew a magpie. A Javan green magpie. So it's a bird that's endemic to Java and is probably now extinct in the wild. So we had a little session about that, and everyone drew their birds. And yeah, he's really proud of it. Okay. Outreach. So yeah, that was, a form of sort of education outreach thing. But we also do things with the local community. When we do rescues, we talk to people, we go out to schools, we go give training and lectures to the university students, snake bite first aid sort of training. Yeah, we were in the my colleague Anga and I, we were on the island of Roti, Lesser Sundas last year in September, and we had a workshop as well for the general public. About the snakes around them, and we also did a little research thing. Okay, yeah, internet. So aside from going, around and giving physical talks, we also have the internet, which is a very powerful tool when you want to convey a message and tell a story and raise awareness. So we are quite active on Facebook and Instagram. You can search, Chillawang Herpetarium, and you'll find stuff that we do and post. And yeah, we just try to increase awareness for herp conservation in Indonesia through social media and books as well. That's one of the things. So yeah, books are a great way of raising awareness and spreading knowledge. So my background for this is that there's quite a few books covering the snakes of Java, but they're either like my first book, not very good. They don't really tell you what characters to look at. What makes this snake different from all the other snakes. And in a lot of books, they tell you that, but they tell you that in long, chunky paragraphs. And when you're in the field, it's a bit difficult to, look at long, chunky paragraphs. And if you're not familiar with the terms used, you might get confused. Because when I first started learning herpetology, I was confused on what all these fancy words meant. So in this book, I've made a new sort of format. Right, I'm not going to tell you everything about the snake, but I'm going to tell you what you need to look at to identify up to species. Okay, in the beginning of the book, I'm going to tell you what all these words mean. What's dorsal mean, what's ventral mean, and what's all these scales mean, where are all these scales, what do I mean when I say rostral scale, infralabial scales, blah, blah, blah. And how do you count the scales? So, yeah, we've got that. And for the species profiles, you've got a key for the group, and you also have, I'm showing you what characters to look at. So for the Dendrolaphus, you want to look at the eyes, you want to look at 3 stripes on posterior. Does it have it? Does it not? You want to look at the colors. And you've got other species as well. Maybe the supralabial scales are a distinguishing feature. Or the ventrolateral stripe. Is it bordered in black or is it not bordered in black? So, I just want to make things easier, I guess, for people to identify the snakes. And I quite like this format, and people seem to like it as well. If you're interested to get a copy, get in touch with Ben Owens. He's distributing in the UK. Right, we also do rescues, conflict mitigation. So, yeah, these are our 2 keepers. Anga and Azib, they're in charge of all the animals now. That's them with the team at Chickenanga. I think last year, earlier this year, at some point, with a king cobra that was rescued from conflict. That's our team doing surgery on a reticulated python that was hacked by a machete, and for some reason it wasn't dead. So we tried to save him, called him Frankenstein, and he didn't make it, unfortunately. We worked together with the fire service as well. We were working with them to mitigate conflicts with snakes because they have to do with a lot of snake call-outs. So, yeah, it was good to share with them, train them on how to safely capture venomous snakes, how to educate the public, and how to release them into the wild. We also had this thing last year, a management workshop, which was a collaboration between us and the Chickenanga Wildlife Rescue Centre, Chester Zoo, and the Indonesian Forestry Department. We did, some education. Well, not education. We did some training, capacity building for people working in government. So we've got people from the airport quarantine, we've got people from fire service, we've got people from wildlife rescue centres, and we've got people from, we've got wildlife vets as well. So yeah, we've got a wide range of sort of wildlife practitioners that are involved in conservation, and knowledge about the management of, you know, reptiles and amphibians is still quite minimal. So we yeah, this was really needed, and I'm glad that it went well. Right, we had and that created an easy to use guide to the protected species found in Indonesia. Yeah, and yeah, I've got a screenshot here of one of the species profiles. It's quite similar to the Snakes of Java book, only this one doesn't have scale counts. This one's much easier and much more straightforward because it's for, you know, people at airport quarantine or people at customs to, you know, figure out whatever they're looking at. So try to find the easiest characters possible. Okay, here's some funny pictures. We used a ladder, so we've got to use everyday items as much as possible to, you know, to move the animals. Okay, let me rephrase. A lot of wildlife rescue centres in Indonesia are underfunded, and we don't have access to proper snake hooks or animal handling equipment. So during the training, we were using everyday materials such as a ladder, and then we used a paint roller as a snake hook. We made our own catch bags as well. So yeah, we had a practice run with the ladder, and then we had a real crocodile on it as well. So that was quite interesting. Yeah, then we had group sessions where they were given a case study. Each group was given a case study. Right, your wildlife rescue centre, you are going to receive 50 turtles tomorrow. Design an enclosure. What are you going to do? And they have to, you know, design the enclosure, present it to the rest of the, I want to say class, but I'm going to say room. Yeah, present it to the rest of the room and provide reasons why they chose to do it that way. And I quite liked it because, yeah, it's nice to see, you know, people actually take in the knowledge and, you know, learn from it, not just sit there. Okay, I think we're nearing the end of my talk. The guy on the left is my colleague Angga. So one of the things we do as well is ecotourism. I run Indonesia herping tours, and Angga is one of my colleagues who works on the tours as well. And he used to be a hunter. He was a snake hunter. He hunted snakes, frogs, lizards, turtles for the skin and meat trade mainly. I found him in 2017. Some of my clients wanted to see reticulated pythons, and they're quite difficult to find. So I hired a hunter, and I said, you know, find us some pythons and we'll pay you. And he was like, why? Why are these people, you know, because we found some snakes and we put them back, took some pictures, put them back. And he was just confused as to, you know, why these people from all over the world were coming to Indonesia just to take some pictures, and that's it. They didn't take the snake back, they didn't sell it or anything, and Angga got paid. So he's confused about that, and for some reason he told me, you know, I feel bad now, I can't do it anymore, I can't hunt anymore, I'm going to stop. And so he stopped. He was dirt poor, he's got a wife and a kid, but he stopped hunting and he started volunteering with us. And he started doing odd jobs for a living, non-animal jobs. And I saw, you know, that this guy had a lot of potential. He was really good at finding animals, and he was really persistent as well. He was really diligent. He wanted to learn new things. So he learned English in about less than a year, and he was taking tours himself since 2018, 18. He was doing tours himself. I didn't need to be there anymore. So he speaks English now, and he can take people. He uses a stick or a hook. You know, he doesn't just grab things. He's just grabbed them with his hands. Just a massive crate, and he's just holding it. Yeah, but he's really good now. And that is Nur Hadi. So we're trying to. He's a local artist in a village. So we're trying to do a bit of community development, trying to help him out a bit. He makes these wonderful bracelets inspired by local snakes. If you get on our Chillawang Herpetarium page, you'll see some, and Ben will have some for sale as well. If you're interested, all the proceeds will go towards supporting our projects at Chillawang and also the village. Okay, and last but not least, I'd like to introduce my team. So this is the IHF team. Not too many people, but we try and make it work. And these are contact details. Yeah, feel free to ask me if you've got any questions. And that's it. Thank you very much.
That was great, Nathan. Thank you very much for that. Couple of things. The Chillawang Herpetarium that you've obviously mentioned there, is that generally open to the public? So say if somebody was visiting the area, would they be able to visit the Herpetarium and see your guys' work there?
It's always open. Mama Snake, as we call her, Richard's mum, she's always there all the time, 24/7. But yeah, the keepers are not there all the time. Our education people are not constantly there, but you know, the centre's always open. The library's always open. The display, you know, the educational area, it's always open, and it's free as well. So we don't charge people to come in. We just want people to learn and get excited, you know. And
that's great. I mean, obviously, like you say, it's about educating people in the area that the snakes and the animals around them aren't necessarily all dangerous to them, and they do need some level of protection from themselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good work, that. On the point of the tours of Indonesia, you say that you've got other guides who do those for you. Do you actually run those and go out there yourself as well still?
I used to, and then started the foundation, and then all the paperwork. Well, there's more paperwork, more admin work, so I'm always, you know, busy with that. And I almost never get to be in the field. You know, 99% of my job is sat behind a, you know, desk in front of a computer, and there are rare occasions where I get, you know, where I get to be out in the jungle, but yeah, few and far between, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I did find it interesting and quite, I suppose, rewarding for yourself as well, that you brought somebody in who was originally hunting these animals and bringing them in and selling them for whatever purpose, and he's now working on the conservation side of things. It's quite good to see.
Yeah, I'm really proud of him, you know, because he just went from a hunter, and now he's really passionate about animals. He really loves the animals. I think it's because of his economic background that he wasn't. The only job he could get that was working with animals was being a hunter. But he's always had this affinity for them and an interest, you know. So I think he's really happy that he's got the opportunity to work in conservation. And he's a field biologist now. He's been hired for a few projects studying otters and studying reptiles and things. So it's, yeah.
Well, that's again fantastic for himself as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much. A very interesting talk and a very interesting insight into the work in Indonesia. I know Matt and myself have got copies of your book ordered through Ben, so we look forward to both receiving those.
Thanks.
Um,
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. I do.
hopefully, in the future, we can get you to the meetings and to the club to do as a talk again in person.
Yeah. Let's hope. I don't know. I'm not sure when I'll be in the UK again, but yeah, it might be a while. Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. Well, thank you very much. A great insight. Thank you, Nathan.
All right. Cheers. Bye.